All right, so real quick, I just want to talk about this real quick because it's been something I've been pretty much looking at. But you see how when we talk about red pill, blue pill, what's funny is that when we look at our chakra systems or our main chakra systems, because we have many chakras, you know what I'm saying? But when you look at these, for example, you know how people say things are either black and white here, you know what I'm saying? And what's crazy is that, you know what I'm saying, our roots are basically white. If our roots are not white, then they're rotten. They should always be white, you know what I'm saying? And then you have black, which is basically your crown chakra can be looked at as black, but then black can be looked at all colors in one. And many people would say that white is all the colors, and white is all the colors, and all the colors are blinding, right? But to a photographer, I believe that black is actually the absence of color. You get what I'm saying? Now, we're always here to talk about ascending and whatnot, and we come up here to these cooler colors. If you really want to look at it, these are all cooler colors, all right? And when you have something cool or cold or whatnot, it's basically there's no life to it. You know what I mean? And then when you start coming down here, these are the warmer colors. These are the tropics. You get what I'm saying? So who knows if up is down, down is up is down, left and right. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. I mean, I'm not really paying attention to direction and whatnot. But the funny thing here is that we have the main stations here where we talk about red and blue. Everything else we have green, which is the heart chakra. The yellow is the solar plexus. The orange being the sacral plexus. The red being the root chakra. The brown is basically our legs. That's basically our foundation. And then, you know, our roots that we, you know, basically have under our feet, those are white. And then I looked at the top as black. We have the blue as your throat chakra. And then the purple is basically your third eye. Now, when you start mixing, you know, the colors are frequencies. You know what I'm saying? And when you start looking at these colors, you basically say, what makes the color purple? You need red and blue to make the color purple. Now, I'm going to get into why I wrote psychic over here. Okay? Because see, when you have, you ever hear, I got a black and blue? So when you got black and blue, you know what I'm saying? You basically have a mixture of the red, blue, and then a little bit of the black in there. It's kind of like all these colors are over here mixed up to actually make this color purple. But the black, again, we can either say it's all colors or the absence of color. Okay? So when we look at blue and red being our main stations, these are the only colors, and we have the red pill and blue pill in the matrix and whatnot. These are the only colors that actually require a rare shade called magenta to actually create either the red or blue color. You see, for you to make true red, you would need magenta and yellow, and magenta is a very rare color to get, right, to actually make the color red. And for you to make the color blue, you need magenta and cyan. And this is where I was looking at over here, just basically just checking on Google just to see what it says. You know, for the average person that wants to look on Google, it says the primary pigment colors are cyan, magenta, and yellow. Cyan absorbs red. Yellow absorbs blue. And magenta absorbs green. Now, if you look at, for example, what they're saying here, it's basically utilizing the colors, okay, over here to make the colors of blue or red, right? But I'm talking about the blue color here in particular. Therefore, in order to get a blue coloration from pigments, you would need to absorb the red and green light colors, which can be achieved by mixing magenta and cyan, okay? So here's where I'm getting at with this, okay? If you have this description here, which is telling you about the color blue, okay? In order for you, okay, to achieve, all right, let's say we want to get into this area and start using this purple color, which is a mixture of the red and blue, and there's the yellow. You need a yellow and magenta to make red, and to make blue, you need the cyan and magenta, right, in order to make blue. So that means that in order for you to utilize this purple color, you would need to utilize all these colors, all right, And these are frequencies. Again, these are frequencies which you have to keep in mind. So when we have this purple color, when I say that this is psychic, you're using the natural frequencies of these colors, okay? See, the blue light that we're exposed to every day is the blue color of TV and our phones. And this is why I believe the reason for these blue lights is to basically deactivate that chakra. Now, use your brain would basically be using that middle portion of your brain, which is the balance between left and right. Okay, so when we have all colors, which is black, okay, this right here, you're basically accessing universal information, which is basically organic. But you already know that above we have Wi-Fi and we have a lot of distortions, but that all comes down to the gut microbiome and what we're eating, and basically those heavy metals, the lead and the arson and all that stuff that we ingest through food and whatnot will basically get these colony in here. Because you see, in here we have bacteria in our stomach, and this is another world, okay? And it's got to be in a balance between 80 and 20 to good bacteria and bad bacteria, okay? So this, what we put in, is basically all information. All right, when something is either black or white, you're still utilizing all of these colors in order to, from your perspective, say black is all colors or the absence of color, or white is all colors and the absence of color, whatever it may be. Because you could look at it as black, as blank, and then white, which is basically just blinding, and that could be all the lights, right? Now, when you have brown, right, you're generating energy here. You have red, you have yellow, and then you have blue, and that makes the color brown. Red, okay, is a very hot color. Yellow and blue. So do you see how you're actually utilizing these colors here to make the color brown? In order for you to make orange, which is your creativity, you would use the red and your solar plexus in order to make the color orange. Yellow and red makes orange. In order for you to make green, you need the blue and the yellow to make the color green. Now, in order for you to speak your truth, okay, you want to be pure heart, from a pure heart space, and you're generating that from your solar plexus, and then you are able to speak your voice, right, using the gateway of the heart to speak your voice to the people. All right. Now, if we're all living up here, okay, and we can look at this as hell, and we could look at this as well. I mean, it's subjective to you. It's basically how, because if you look at it, we have our third eye. We could have the 72 angels of the Shema Mefaraj, or we can use the 72 goetic demons. At the end of the day, it's all up to you. They're all energies. You know what I'm saying? But you would have to know what frequency and vibration you're on in order for you to know what energies to use. Because don't forget, you're the God. Based on the perception and the state of being that you're in, and the emotional state of being you're in, you would know what colors, what frequencies to use up here, which you're pretty much living in a dome over here. You know what I'm saying? You have your pineal gland right over here, which is basically the sun. All right, that's your masculine gland. You have your pituitary gland, which is the moon. That's your feminine gland. And then you have all the neurons in your brain, which is basically all the stars. And sometimes you may have, you know, certain neurons firing and whatnot. You see the lightning. You can see all the stars, whatever it may be. Your day is basically determined by what's going on in your head. That's why some people say, I got brain fog, or I got a cloudy head, because you got a lot of cloud here and you have no access to being able to see with clarity the stars, which are basically light codes in your head. Everything that you perceive outside is basically what's going on in your dome, in your head. All right. So that goes deep as far as to, you know, how the B12 bacteria, which is responsible for the red blood cell formation, carbohydrate metabolism, natural energy production, you know what I'm saying? Then that's where it's going to tie into how you perceive your world. But that also goes deep with, you know, whatchamacallit, the type of the way your glands are, the endocrine gland, which is responsible for hormones, the adrenal glands, which is basically your steroid glands. That's where, you basically talk about I have no motivation, I have no energy. That's your endocrine glands, and that's all tied into your kidneys, your liver. Which your liver basically has the most complex features, and you know what I'm saying. If those are blocked up, then it's up to you to take responsibility to know how to unblock those stones that are blocked up in those pores. It's kind of like if you have, your skin is your first line of defense. You know what I'm saying? If your pores are all blocked up, you know what I'm saying, your skin doesn't breathe properly, then that creates a problem for you. Now, the way your skin looks is an indicator to what your insides are looking like as well. The way you feel, the way you perceive your reality is an indicator to what's going on within you in here, because this is your world. I feel like we need to leave our heads, because we're always thinking that we have a problem. We're always thinking that, you know what I'm saying, we need to accomplish something or chase something, when in actuality, we need to leave all that thinking, or at least being able to clear our head from these things that we think we're thinking, and then just pretty much, notice I'm going downwards, but ascend down to this portion and get an understanding to what's going on here in our, in our second brain. If you open up your stomach, it looks like a brain, and there's a lot going on down here. But all health starts in your gut. All health doesn't start in your head. So you're in the wrong place being here. You know what I'm saying? You can use here to be able to perceive your reality, but you would need to go here first, which is basically your metaphysical realm, because you'll never be able to see your insides unless somebody else cuts you open. You know what I'm saying? Which is important, to be able to just sit with yourself and see what you're feeling here, your gut feelings, your intuition. Now, the reason why I wrote psychic here is because if you're utilizing the your purple color, which is a mix of red and blue, and I just told you what the red and blue, to make red and blue, what kind of colors you need. Magenta, which is a rare color, and magenta, which is a rare color here. And these are just by basic, simple Google searches, you know what I'm saying? Then you'll know that you're using the natural blue frequency to be able to use your psychic abilities and use your head in a way where you're using your logic and reasoning, but also using your emotional mental state. But you also have the emotional mind and the rational mind that needs a connection. So in order for you to use that, your middle pillar, you would have to have a balance between left and right brain, and then you could be able to perceive your reality in balance. You know what I'm saying? So now psychic abilities could come into the sense of where it's not just where you're using, like I'm saying, like in the sense where I'm only going to know what is true by actually seeing it. Sometimes it's not just seeing is believing, but just sometimes knowing is actually seen. And I'm going to give you an example of that. Is, for example, if you have an intuitive feeling that something is off in your life, where somebody's screwing you over, all right, that's you using a psychic ability. And sometimes we say, well, but I'm not actually seeing it, so I don't believe it. And then you discard that. And then you are not human. You are actually a spirit. You know what I'm saying? And because you're not thinking like a spirit, you only want to think like a human, then you become more human. You stay more human. You stay more in the solid realm, because you discard any type of intuitive feeling or any type of psychic ability that you may have. You always discard it, because you're trained that seeing is believing, rather than sometimes believing is seeing, or believing is just knowing. And the knowing that you have is the feelings that you have based on your internal mechanisms firing over here, because you see neurological functions, neurons that fire. We have epigenetics, neurological, all that stuff that happens over here is all happening neurologically, but you also have a lot going on down here, and we're always here. So if we take that dive from here, you know how you have your subconscious, okay, which is that big boulder underneath, and then you have the little iceberg on top. Sometimes we need to just take that dive into the water, and then, people want to see what is under the ocean. At the bottom of the ocean, where you'll find the Loch Ness Monster, you'll find, megalodons and all that. You try to find them at the bottom of the ocean, even Bigfoot, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it may be, you're not going to find it out there. You're going to find it when you take that dive into your world and start to see that the center of the earth, you know, the black sun and all that is right here. And then, you know what I'm saying, you talk about the North Pole and South Pole and whatnot. I mean, basically, you gotta go here. Everything is in here. But when you're able to see everything in here, I'll make a separate video about, you know, life after death, which even that's said wrong, because what if you're just using language, but is life after death? You know what I'm saying? If you're living here and then there's duality where you have life and death, black and white, then how is there life after death? You get what I'm saying? Unless you understand what real true integration between the two would be for you to actually be able to perceive things in a different level there. But I'll make a separate video on that. But the reason I wanted to even make this video in particular is because in order for you to use and become a true psychic, okay, which I have became real connected to this, the natural, and which is organic or inorganic, as far as like even how you're ingesting you know, vitamins and minerals and whatnot. Vitamins and minerals, you see, these things are all inorganic elements. All right, because I'm looking at, you know, copper, iron is basically, you know, what we always say we need for, you know, for our red blood cells and whatnot, if now we become anemic. But that has a lot to do with what goes on in here with your B12 recycling in here. So the first thing that we look at is we say, okay, my iron levels are low, my B12 levels are low. I need to go to a store or a doctor to get some B12 or iron, instead of finding out why you're low first. You know what I'm saying? Why are you low? If you're low, there's a reason why you're low. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason why you should be low if you're ingesting the natural elements that you're supposed to be ingesting. And a lot of the times, the reason why you don't have these elements in your system is because of certain things that are destroying the gastrointestinal walls and the intrinsic factor in your stomach, which is responsible for the bacteria to actually be able to synthesize these natural elements in your body for you. Because you see, everything here, all the organs are connected, and you already know that each organ is co-governed by the chakras. The chakras are co-governed by the planets, and the colors are all frequencies. So if you're eating things that's disturbing this, if you're a cellular being, because, you know, we talk about things on a cellular level. When we talk about cellular phones, how does your phone work? You need a cellular reception. You need reception to Wi-Fi. So how are you trying to get spiritual connection or any intuitive abilities or anything going on as far as like opening your consciousness if you don't have any cellular reception to what your blueprint is out here? Don't look at your outside world as something external, because it is all you. It is you pushed out. But in order for you to get an understanding of what's going on out here, which is a blueprint to what's going on in here, you need to have good reception to what is going on outside. You see, from one phone call, I can call my mom and I'll get instant reception regardless of wherever she's at. You get what I'm saying? So if you want to talk about you're a universal being, you know what I'm saying? Wherever it may be, any direction you want to go in, you need to be right on a cellular level. Because we talk about genes. Genes, listen, on a genetic level, we have as much genes as an earthworm. But when it comes to DNA, we're made of trillions of sentient cells. You know what I'm saying? So on a cellular level, we have protons. When we look at it from a non-atomic level, rather. You know what I'm saying? We got protons, electrons, and neutrons, and electrons. And then you look at the elements, they have, for example, like copper has 29 protons and electrons and 35 neutrons. And then when you look at iron, which is Fe, has 26 protons and electrons and 30 neutrons. You know what I'm saying? So look at everything from a microbial bacterial level, and you'll start to understand that if you look at yourself from an atom level, you'll start to see that you consist of protons, electrons, and neutrons, trillions of sentient cells. All right. And then you become a big organism, which is all organized into organs. And then you're an organization, which you should be responsible and a CEO for this company, which is why they say mind your business. Then it's up to you to know how to manage energies, frequency, and vibration. Because you're a energetic, vibrational being. You emit a frequency. Okay. And you are basically responsible for what channel you're on, because you're always channeling energy. But if you're not you have to know where you're channeled at. It's like a TV. If you're not happy with the station that you're on, you change the channel. You get what I'm saying? But I mean, I basically, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this, because I've been looking at the gut, and all health starts in the gut. Everything starts in the gut. You know what I'm saying? This is very important to understand. We're always eating. We're always eating. When we listen, we're eating. When we watch something, we're eating. You know what I'm saying? When we touch something, and it's all in the sense of us receiving information to know if it's therapeutic or toxic. But when we eat something, we don't look at what we're eating as information. And that information, because when you eat, you're basically having an intercourse there. Okay? And there's a chemistry that happens here. But if it's not organic, then there's no chemistry. So are you having chemistry with a robot? No, you need to have chemistry with another organic being. So this is just a little explanation on the, colors and chakra systems. We have a lot of chakras and a lot of different energetic nadis and whatnot all over our body. And, by next year, I'm going to be doing something that's going to be tying into all this that I'm working on here, where, true health is basically starting from, a healthy mental state and a healthy spiritual state. And then the rest follows, man, because it's basically starting from, the lightest form, and then it comes down and manifests into the densest form. But it'll start off from the lightest form first. So we'll talk soon.